Hi. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody had a good weekend. And you guys are probably wondering who is on my lap. I think this is Chewy. Chewy. Okay, this one's Chewy, and I think this one's Yoda. I have two dogs that I'm pet sitting right now. So I figured I'd better start this chapter and start reading it. So, right, boys? They are both boys, so I'm going to be loving on them for a whole week. Right? So, you boys are going to have to move down that way. This one is really lovey. He's on my lap. He's been on my lap since I got here. So, right? Okay, so we better get started with the chapter reading. Right? Hi. You're not licking me on the mouth. No. Okay, we're just gonna dive in because this chapter is really long, which I did not even realize that. So, hi. Right, Chewy? Chewy, what do you think? I am gonna need this pillow. And if my camera is too low, I'm really sorry. I couldn't find anything to lift up my camera to go this high. No. Okay, so if you guys are gonna rough play, go down there. No? Okay, so this is chapter 48. Okay. You guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Once she finished eating a vegan omelet with fried veggies and a dash of spice, she did the dishes so Mom wouldn't have to do them. She slipped her sandals on, grabbing her car keys off the hook. She opened the door and left the house. She drove 5 blocks down the street to Richie's house. Pulling up into the driveway, she saw a cop car drive by as she lifted her foot off the gas. The window slid down as the car stopped. McLean and Madison made eye contact. If only I had a baseball bat. He smiled with a hand on the steering wheel, his other elbow sticking the window, setting on the window. He stopped at a stop sign, looking in the side mirror at her. He stopped at a stop sign, looking in the side mirror at her. How about 2 whacks? She put her car in park, got out, and closed the door. McLean turned the corner and disappeared behind an overgrown tree bush by a mailbox that needed groomed. She walked up to the house and knocked. As she stood there and waited, she heard footsteps on the other side of the door. It opened. There stood Richie with tired eyes and a sad look, and knowing his little brother was gone. He wouldn't be able to talk to him, to help with homework, to play or catch with him in the front yard. You want me to leave? She asked. He shook his head and stood to the side. Once she was in, he closed the door, then walked into the kitchen. Oh, no. Okay. Madison heard Johanna playing in the living room with the Barbie dolls and the 2 teddy bears. Across from the table was empty. I heard Mom crying and playing, asking God why. He looked up at her and said, I've been asking the same thing. I've been asking the same thing, Maddie. He paused, tears filling his eyes. Have you? Yeah, I have. They both stared at each other as if they both had the same questions. So, she rubbed her forehead and said, has any paranormal things happened so far? Happened so far? She whispered. No. There were more unanswered questions. What? Hi. There were more unanswered questions that still needed to be solved. Why did the witch kill Henry? Who was he? Why is Johanna seeing dead children? Why are they around her all the time now? Are they protecting her from the witch? Or were the souls of the children wanting to communicate with her because she could see and hear them too, not just Johanna? Richie and Madison went into the living room and stopped midway by the couch. Johanna sat in the front of the drawing table. Madison saw the picture Johanna had colored and peered closer. Once she realized what she drew, her heart skipped a beat. It was the same witch from the previous pictures, but this time it was different. Two women with light hitting each other had dirt mounds all around them. Richie stopped next to Madison. Richie, she whispered. He took a drink from his soda. Hey, you can't have human food. No. Richie stopped next to Madison. Richie, she whispered. He took a drink from his soda, then said, what? Look, she pointed towards the picture. Richie stared at it. He set the soda can down on the coffee table and knelt next to her. Why are you drawing these pictures, Johanna? He picked the picture up and studied it one more time. Johanna stared off into space and continued to color as if she was in a daze. Richie's eyes widened, no expression on her face. He followed her gaze to the ceiling, nothing. He looked at Madison, then back at her. Madison was in shock and couldn't speak. She didn't know what to say. She'd never seen Johanna act this way before. It was all new to her. Johanna? Richie called to her, but she didn't speak. Joe. Saying Joe didn't work like before. Johanna, why are you coloring these? She kept drawing as if she was compelled to do it. But what? Could it be Henry doing it? Johanna. It was like she couldn't hear him, as if she was in another place and time. Could she really be seeing something? He pulled the picture from her so she would stop. She continued to draw on the table. Johanna, I said stop it. He grabbed the crayon. It got scarier when she clawed on the table with her own fingernails. Richie dropped the crayon and the picture. He turned her toward him and yelled, stop it right now. Johanna squeezed her eyes shut and glanced around the room, then back at Richie. What's wrong, Richie? She asked. His brows furrowed. Madison wanted to run because she was scared and didn't see stuff like this every day. Only in the movies. Only in the movies, of course, but another part of her wanted to stay to see why this was happening to a 5-year-old. 5-year-olds don't act like this or color horrifying pictures. Of course, they had imaginary friends, but this wasn't normal. You don't remember? He asked. She shook her head slightly. Remember what? He picked up the picture and showed it to her. Why are you drawing these? He stared at her, waiting. Who told you to draw these? She just stared as if she didn't know what they were. He gripped her arm. Tell me now, Johanna. Who told you to draw these? Who? She tipped her head down and cried, cringing in pain. Richie realized what he'd just done and let her arm go. Don't cry, I'm sorry. He wrapped both arms around her. Shh, it's okay. Did she not remember drawing them? Maybe she was possessed or something? After a few minutes, he wiped the tears away. Who's here, Johanna? Henry. Richie sighed as he tipped his head down, then rubbed his eyes and looked over at Madison. See, I told you. I guess not everyone left. He sighed and stood up. I don't know what to do. Let's fix lunch. We can keep an eye on her from the kitchen. He nodded. They both cooked lunch, Johanna's favorite, hot dogs and macaroni and cheese. While they all ate, Johanna laughed and giggled to the empty chair next to her. Madison and Richie looked at each other, then at the chair. Johanna, he called to her. The child stopped and looked at him, as if she knew he was getting angry. Please stop and eat your macaroni and cheese that you wanted. You haven't even touched your hot dog. Right after he said hot dog, it rolled off the plate and stopped in the middle of the table, across from the small bowl of yogurt. Madison had a bowl of vegan pasta salad. What just happened? Johanna giggled and stood up in the seat and grabbed it. Stop it, Henry. She took a bite of it, then scooped up the noodles onto her fork and ate them. Yoda. Chewy. Chewy. After lunch, Johanna was covered in cheese on her face and her legs, even in her hair. Richie took her upstairs as Madison wiped down the chairs and picked up the small pieces of noodles off the floor. After she finished, she went upstairs. Johanna giggled and stopping him. Richie paused and turned around. What? It's just Madison. Henry, she said, then covered her mouth with both hands. Richie looked back at the tub and poured in some bath soap. Johanna got undressed as Richie left the bathroom. I want my yellow pajamas this time, she called from the bathroom. Okay, he said, then looked at Madison. I can't believe Henry is still here. There must be a reason for it. He went into Johanna's room as Madison followed behind. He grabbed what he needed and closed the drawer. Small. I'm tired. Small, quick footsteps entered the room as a cold chill formed. Madison shuddered, and she turned around. No one was there. Her heart beat faster and harder. She saw her own breath. Her gaze glanced around the room and stopped to the coloring table. A couple crayons and sheets of paper. Richie looked at Madison, then pressed his lips together and came over. In the first photo were two little kids running around in the forest, playing by a pond. Big tall trees all around. Grass full of flowers with a clear blue sky. It looked peaceful. Okay, you went down? Maybe? It looked peaceful and relaxing. The next picture was of a witch in tall weeds with both hands up in the air. And a huge fire in front of her. The last photo had a person in a dress like the first one, but this picture was different. The woman stood by the ocean with waves crashing down to the ground. I hope you don't fall off the couch. Hey, lay down. Madison didn't understand why Johanna drew these pictures. Don't tell me. She may not remember like before. You okay? How can she not remember drawing these? She was probably in a daze or something. Or something was making her do it. What if the drawings are the link to the cabin in the woods? Madison thought about it. Richie sighed heavily. If they are connected to the cabin, will somebody else die? Will someone else get hurt? Who's next? Madison shivered. Okay, stop it. You're scaring me. Before Madison went downstairs, Richie grabbed her arm. What can we do? Who do we go to? Madison sighed and rubbed her neck. The library. She shrugged. It might give us answers. Okay. Do you want to go now or tomorrow? It doesn't matter to me. We all need some fresh air. A car door was heard from outside. Richie and Madison went downstairs and looked out the window. It was Fabia and Madison's mom. Of course, she had a Bible in her hand. Madison and Richie put their shoes on as both women walked into the kitchen. Hi, Madison, Fabia said, then hugged her. Hi, Fabia, how are you doing? Hanging in there. Where are you two headed off to? Madison's mom asked. To the library. We'll be back later, Richie said. Johanna ran into the kitchen toward her mom. Fabia picked her up, walked into the living room, and sat down on the couch with her, holding her close as if she didn't want to lose another baby. When will you be home, Madison? Her mom asked. When do you want me home? I'm only asking because you still have homework to do. I saw it on the couch. I know, I'll finish it tonight. Madison and Richie left the house. The good thing about living in town was everything was close by. Once they arrived at the library, a girl with dark hair and black glasses held holy water and sage in her hand. She kept her head down as if she didn't want people to see, then headed down the sidewalk. Madison and Richie looked at each other, then back at the library. Pages 3, 4, 5. Oh, I got 5 pages left. Okay. I was going to stop midway and then finish it tomorrow, but I'll keep reading. You sure you still want to do this? She asked, taking her seatbelt off, then looked at Richie. He stared at the building with a hand on the steering wheel. We need answers. He turned the key, then pulled it out. I don't want anything to happen to my little sister. I don't either. They both climbed out of the truck and closed the doors. They walked up the wide stone steps to the front door. Richie opened it and stood to the side. Ladies first. Madison walked in, then Richie followed behind. She looked around and there wasn't many people. She saw the front desk and touched Richie's hand. He glanced at her and she pointed. They both walked over to the desk where a young woman sat. Hi, do you know a girl by the name of Olivia that lives here? Richie asked, feeling stupid and dumb, not knowing what to ask. Sorry. I think... Olivia, the young girl questioned. Yeah, we're looking for her. Do you know the last name by any chance? Well, Richie glanced at Madison for a brief second, then back at the young girl. We only know her first name. What do you want with Olivia? Madison and Richie turned around and saw a lady standing there looking back at them. You know Olivia? Richie replied back. I'm her mother, Doreen. What do you want with my daughter? Madison was relieved that they found Olivia's mom. It was a miracle. And now they could finally get the answers they've been wanting. If only this woman agreed to help. I'm Richie and this is Madison. Why do you need my daughter? Who are you? Richie took a step forward. We don't want her. We have to warn her. Madison stepped forward to Richie. She's in trouble. Where is she? What do you mean she's in trouble? Doreen said, taking a step forward with worry in both eyes. What kind of trouble? This might sound crazy, but I swear it's the truth. We think a ghost might have killed my brother. A ghost? Yes, ma'am. What ghost are you talking about? Do you know a woman by the name of... For a moment he hesitated, afraid that Doreen would think or how she would act. Inga? Right after Richie said this, Doreen's face grew pale and tipped her head down. Oh my God, she touched her forehead. What did you do? I didn't do anything, Richie said. She killed my brother and Madison's brother too. I'm scared that if we don't stop her, my little sister is next. We need to talk in privacy. Follow me to my house. You need to know the whole story. Richie and Madison got into his truck and followed her down the highway. The road was familiar to Madison in some way. This was the road that led to the clearing. Doreen slowed down and pulled off onto a gravel road. They drove for about 3 minutes, then saw a house and pulled up into the driveway. Richie stopped the truck beside hers and got out. They both followed Doreen and into the house. You can have a seat. Madison and Richie walked into the living room, then sat on the couch beside each other. Madison noticed a picture on the coffee table beside her. She tapped Richie on the arm. He looked and whispered, "Who is that?" "That's my daughter, Olivia." Madison and Richie looked up. Olivia had her mom's eyes. They looked so much alike. "She's not here." "Where is she?" Richie asked. Doreen walked over and sat in the chair across from them. "She's in Canada living with her dad. She's at a college taking dental classes. She wants to be a dentist." "That's an interesting choice," Madison said. "Yeah, well, she's already starting to change her mind. She wants to study the environment and animals. She grew up in the country just like her grandfather." "Thank you for inviting us in," Madison said. "Sorry if we upset you in any way." "I'm not upset with you. I'm upset with the fact that the hag is back. I just don't understand why she's back. I'm really sorry about this, Doreen. My brother Keegan was a wild child. You couldn't control him or tame him. He did whatever he wanted when he wanted." "Do you know what he did?" Madison shrugged. We think he went out to the house and did something to awake her." "Like what?" We're not sure what he did. He was with some of his friends and they went to the house. My brother died from a wound on his neck. We think Inga did it." Doreen placed a hand to her cheek and sat up more in the chair. "I know this is disturbing and I'm sorry. Doreen, how did this all start?" Madison asked. "A wish. My daughter, Olivia, was very close with my dad, Quinn. They went everywhere together. She went out to his house and she found him dead in the middle of the living room. Days later, she wandered off into the woods and met her, Inga." Madison and Richie looked at each other, then back at Doreen. "Inga gave her a crystal stone to make a wish, so she did." "What did she wish for?" for her grandpa to come back. And did it work? Richie asked. She shrugged. Olivia did it. Olivia said it did. But I don't remember any of it, she explained. Then bad things started to happen to her. Like what? Black shadows with red glowing eyes would attack her at night, including demons. Inga almost killed her. Then Gina helped us. Who's Gina? She's a paranormal researcher and a psychic and a medium. She can talk to the dead and she can see them. She's the one that can help. I don't think she's going to be too happy when she finds out the witch has been awakened. I know, and I'm sorry. We really are. Sometimes sorry doesn't cut it, but we'll see. She shrugged. I can call Gina for you and let her know what's going on, but I'm sure she's already had a vision about it. Had a vision by now. Hi. Chewy. Yoda? Chewy. Okay, sorry. No. Why not? Gina doesn't tell anybody anything until she gets to the bottom of it. Doreen stood up and smiled. I think I need to call my daughter now. She grabbed the house phone and went into a small bathroom that was connected to the kitchen and closed the door, leaving a gap. Madison sat there with both hands together, looking around the living room for anything that seemed familiar to her. Doreen's voice was heard from the bathroom, but the words couldn't be made out. It sounded like she was worried and upset to the fact that Inga was awakened, and she was worried that her daughter was miles away. Suddenly, it got quiet. Doreen came back out and set the phone on the jack. It's time for you two to go. I'm afraid if you stay, the witch will come here, and I don't want that to happen. I'm sorry, but you have to leave. Good luck and God bless. She walked over to the door and opened it. Madison and Richie walked across the living room, holding hands for comfort. Richie opened the screen and stepped out, Madison behind. Wait, they both turned around at the same time. Doreen handed Madison a folded piece of paper. Here's my number. Call me if anything happens. I can try and help, but Gina is the one that can help you. And where can we find her? Richie asked. You won't find her. She'll find you. Richie and Madison looked at each other, then back at Doreen. She works at the public library. She lives behind it. Have a nice day, if you can. After that, she closed the door and locked it. Madison and Richie walked down the deck steps, got into the truck, and closed the door. Have a nice day, if you can? What did she mean by that? Madison shrugged. She was probably just warning us. Richie drove down the gravel road and back onto the highway. Once they got into town, they parked in front of the library and stared at it. Are you sure we need to do this right now? Madison asked. Richie nodded. I do want to find Olivia and help her. Madison looked back at the building. What if we just come back tomorrow? What if she's not here tomorrow? I'm sure she will be. She works here. A woman with dark hair stood there by the trunk with both arms crossed. She wore a thin chain with a cross made of silver, and two medallions on each side hung around her neck, catching Madison's attention. What? Richie asked, then turned to look. He flinched, leaning back. She stared at Richie. You must be the brother to the blonde boy. No, the dark-haired one. She looked at Madison, then back at Richie. He's struggling with being earthbound until all this ends. He wants his life back, but he doesn't want to accept that he's dead. That sounds like Terrence to me. And the blonde-haired boy? She looked at Madison again and nodded. He's trying to help his friend understand that he's dead and not alive anymore. He's getting frustrated with him. Yeah, that sure does sound like Keegan, all right. Doreen called me and said what you told her. She said you probably wouldn't be happy, Richie said with a hand on the steering wheel. And she's right, I'm not happy. And we apologized to her, and now we are apologizing to you. Thank you. You both need to see something. Get out of the truck and follow me. Your life depends on it. Madison glanced at Richie and opened the door. Is that Gina? He asked. It must be. They both got out and they followed her into the library, then out the back door and through a small alleyway, then to her house across the street. They walked up the steps to the front door and stopped. I'm Gina, by the way. She pulled a key out, unlocked the door, and pushed it open, and walked in. Follow me. Madison and Richie followed her downstairs to the basement. Gina flipped a switch and walked over to a picture, then pressed a button underneath the frame. She stepped back, and it slid open, then stopped. This way. The brick wall was big enough for at least 3 people. At the end was a safe door in the brick wall. Gina pressed the code and waited. The light glowed green. She opened the door and stood to the side. Madison stared at the diamond, and beside it was a knife with a crystal handle. What are these for? Richie asked. They belong to Inga. Why do you have them? To keep them safe, away from her, away from everyone. What did Inga use them for? Madison asked. The diamond was used to trap the dead souls of the children she had killed many years ago. They kept her strong and not weak because they were young. And the dagger? Madison asked. It's connected to the diamond. If they get separated, then they can't work. It's like two magnets being stuck together. They're attracted. Won't they be activated right now since they are side by side right now as we speak? Richie stared at the objects. No, she's dead. And the children's souls? It's really hard to explain this. Once the child died, their soul is pulled into the diamond like a magnet field. And they're stuck there. Understand? But I've seen 2 little girls. Did Inga kill them too? The 2 little girls? Yes, they told me to help Olivia, and I didn't understand what they were talking about until I figured it out. They were trapped in Inga's house. How do you know that? I went out to Inga's house and saw them in the attic. They were hunched over in the corner, terrified. I would be too if a witch had me trapped. So you do know them. Okay. I never said I knew them. I said if. I don't remember seeing 2 little girls. So what do we do now? We stop the hag before she kills anybody else. Gina closed the door to the safe and pressed the button, then walked past Madison and Richie. Madison came back home from Richie's. She closed the door and took her shoes off. She heard water running in the kitchen and the smell of baked goods. She set her car keys down on the table and walked into the kitchen. Her mom was baking for the first time in years. Mom, she stopped by the island, seeing all the flour and sugar, including the baking soda side by side. You don't have to bake just yet. That's okay, honey. I needed to do something else besides sitting around and crying all day. You don't cry all day. I sat at Fabia's for 5 hours crying. My eyes can't take it anymore. But Mom, you have every right to grieve and cry. I know, Madison. She wiped her hand with the towel, then set it down and walked around the corner. Losing Keegan and your father tore me up inside. I'll never get over it. I can cry and pray as much as I want, and it still wouldn't bring them back. I suffered with depression and emotional distress with your father, and with Keegan, he was my only son. I'm still sad and upset inside. I just don't want to fall back into that path again. I love you, Mom, and I'm here for you. I want you to know that. Her mom pulled her into a hug. I know you are. I just want to be able to be me again. I haven't baked in years since your father passed. It's a good healing process for me. You have baked a lot. The counter was covered with bowls of chocolate chip, M&M, peanut butter, raspberry, and blueberry cookies, including a pan of walnut brownies. Well, Mom, you did bake a lot, and she pulled out a raspberry cookie and took a bite out of it. You made my raspberry and carrot cake oatmeal cookies. Thank you. It's starting to feel like a real home again. Yeah, I know. Madison gasped. Oh my gosh, Mom, you made Grandma's famous pear and walnut cheesecakes? I haven't tasted or had these in years. Grandma's will always be the best. What are we going to do with all these baked goods? Well, freeze half of them and maybe you can take some over to Richie's. I'm sure Johanna would love good. Inga thought back to how now that she had something to keep the children in, how would she lure them? She always wished to see Mother and her sisters again. She saw the black crystals laying on the table and thought to herself, maybe I could create a wishing stone for the children to make their own wish. Once Inga cast a spell on the wishing stone, she waited for the victims to arrive. And once they did, she'd given them the stone and let them leave. After they made the wish to see a loved one or to revisit a place, she had Peter bring back their soul she possesses and desires the most. But on the other hand, she had to think back to when she created Peter, Mark, and Joseph. It wasn't easy, but she got it done. She remembered the liquids that she poured in the cauldron, black for the horns and claws, and red for the scaly skin like a crocodile. That's it, I remember. She walked over to the bookcase and grabbed the tall red skinny vial and the short black one, then pulled the caps off and poured them into the cauldron as they mixed together. Are you comfy yet? A black and red mist rose up out of the cauldron and formed into a pentagram. In the middle of it was a demon head, just like Peter's. The wicked curse spell is complete. That boyfriend of hers shall be my slave. She grabbed an empty vial off the top shelf and let the mist veer into it. Master, what about the teen boys? Peter said. I had enough of them, and this time I mean it. Inga set the vial on the shelf, then turned around. Peter, Joseph, go get those teen boys and bring them back here right now. Yes, Master, Peter said, then pushed Joseph towards the door. He hissed, and Peter snarled back. No fighting either, or I shall get rid of ye like I did to George. Holy moly, that was a long chapter. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try and make this short. So Johanna is drawing very disturbing pictures, and Richie and Madison don't know why. So they know that Johanna is like talking to a little boy named Henry. They have no idea where he came from or why he's there. And so they decide to do their own research. And they have a name, Olivia. So they go to the library and they ask, where can we find Olivia? And then surprisingly, Olivia's mom is at the library, and so they go to her house and they try to figure out how they're going to solve this or figure it out. So, like I said, there is a lot going on with all of these characters. And how did I keep it all together? That's a good question. I guess I had it all wrote down, and I would write from a character's point of view, and then if I had to remember something, I would just go back to the previous chapter, or I would look in my notebook. I would look at my notebook and try to figure out what his purpose is in the story, if it was Madison or Richie, Keegan or Terrence. So I did do a chapter outline where I would say chapter 1 this happens, and then chapter 2 this happens. So I do what I do is I will go back and do a character outline and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because sometimes I feel like the more I read my chapters, it keeps getting more interesting, and there's a lot of things that just come up, and I had a lot of fun with creating more plot and more situations for the characters just to keep the story going. So, I really do miss writing this book. I'm just glad that it's finished and it's over with, because the book was getting so long, I had to actually delete chapters. I had to I deleted chapters, and I also had to rewrite chapters because some of it was nonsense that didn't need to be there. And it was just a lot of fun to write. So, right, Yoda? Yoda. Chewy. Chewy. Yoda. Chewy. I bet you guys want to see both doggies. See, they look like twins. Aren't they adorable? Yoda. Chewy. See, if I say their names, I would think they would look at me. Chewy. I think this is Chewy. And then this is Yoda. I got twin boys to take care of for a week. But I think I'm going to end this vlog here because I am tired. And I'm probably going to go to bed soon. And I had a friend message me. So I think these two handsome studs are so ready to go to bed right now. So aren't they adorable? Hey, what do you think? Chewy. Hey. They're both oh my gosh. Hi, look. I read for a whole hour and my throat is seriously burning right now. I need some water, but I drank all of it. So, okay, that is it for this live reading, and I will see you Wednesday. I will be here pet sitting. So, I'm just trying to figure out I don't know. But I will see you Wednesday sometime. I don't know. I am going to the gym to work out, so. But I will see you guys Wednesday.